So before we start, I wanted to introduce myself really briefly. My name is Tiomina. I am currently founder of the company named Blend to Balance. It was supposed to be just a fractional CFO business, but now I'm pivoting very much into AI implementation, and I do a lot of AI consulting and helping companies to start with AI in their business operations. I specialize in professional services firms and finance departments. I used to be a full-time CFO for more than 10 years, and my last employer was a tech company, very innovative, and they put some pressure on me to start using AI while I was still in my full-time role. And it's impossible to do when you are working like 50 hours a week to try to do something on top of that. So I only started when I switched to fractional CFO practice and I got some time. And I thought, what's there? Something interesting, something new I should learn. And AI that was 7 months ago, it was still hot. Everybody was talking about it. And I started to gradually start to understand how to even approach, like use AI thing in finance operations. And I'm currently doing this AI consulting and fractional CFO service. I want to keep them both because I think there is a lot of synergy between them. And I also do some strategic advisory to companies that develop different financial software. So I'm trying to bridge the gap between practical implementation of AI and real life, let's say, between the technology and real life. And I recently started my newsletter. It's free. You can find it. I will give you a QR code at the end of the presentation so you can scan it and subscribe if you're interested. Okay, good. So why this topic even exists in my life? I'm 7 months in that, and I believe more than before that AI is the future of work. I am 100% convinced that in 2 years, you will see in every professional job description, something like AI advanced usage. Just like now you can see Microsoft Office advanced user, something like that. So I think it's gonna come to every working place. Also, in my full-time CFO role, I was often feeling like I can't handle all that I have to handle. So I was living really, really busy life with very poor work-life balance. So I think the AI is one of the ways to answer this challenge because it gives a lot of potential for making our operations more efficient. That's just simple as that. Before we dig into AI in budgeting, I want to give you, a little bit of vocabulary, like what is AI, what is ML, and what is deep learning, because not everybody understands it, and it's important to give this basic understanding, okay? So artificial intelligence is a very broad concept, and it means everything that involves machine acting like humans, which means understanding trends, making decisions, problem solving. So that's a very broad concept. Machine learning is a subset of AI, and it means algorithms learning from data and improving performance over time. And deep learning is a subset of machine learning that uses neural networks to process this complex data. So this is like one inside another and inside another. Okay, so the example of what is artificial intelligence and machine learning compared to classic automation. I like this example. It explains a lot. So, for example, you are trying to explain somebody what is a cat and what is a dog. One way to do that is to describe a cat and to describe a dog. And then when you show a real example of something, you compare it against the description. The AI way to do that, or machine learning way to do that would be to show the program pictures of dogs labeled and pictures of cats labeled. And when you do a lot of that, next time you show them a picture, the program is able to identify whether it is a dog or a cat. So that's a different way to learn compared to rule-based learning when you define the rules or give a formula. That's a very important concept that you all will have to be using when you will come across AI-based automation in your working places. And I think that's gonna be within the next couple of years, hopefully. Okay, I want to give you also a overview of publicly available LLMs, large language models, and there are more, but these are the main ones. ChatGPT is still the market leader. 7 months ago, it would be ChatGPT and nothing else. Now there is actually a lot on top of ChatGPT. Those of you who are working in corporations with Microsoft Suite, you might have heard about Copilot, or maybe you all have access to Copilot already. So this is the Microsoft Suite product. Funny thing, not everybody knows that Copilot is essentially ChatGPT, so it uses the engine of ChatGPT. Gemini is a Google product. Claude is something new, backed by Anthropic, and I think it has Amazon as like a lead investor. So there is a lot of competition going on the market and a lot of happening on the market. So every week there is some news about new model being launched, about new way to operate in some of these LLMs. It is challenging to keep up with that, but it's also good because there is a lot of progress on the market. And Perplexity, if you haven't heard of it, it's a little bit different animal. It's a search engine. So this is a new way to search. All of them except Copilot, I think, they have all 3 tiers of access. So you can go ahead and register and try every of them to understand what it is. And on my right, we have open source software. The difference between closed source and open source, and it's not like super relevant to what we're doing, but it's important also to understand. In closed source, the company doesn't explain how the program makes its decision. So there is a black box. You put information in, you get information out. In open source software, the algorithms that work behind the scenes are all open, and developers have access to these algorithms and then can build their own model and adjust these algorithms to work better with their specific use cases. So this open source software has a lot of, let's say, success in a developer community. But for us, people who are just users, the closed source software is go-to version of LLMs, public LLMs. Before we get to budgeting, I have to touch the security concerns because you will hear them, first of all, and second of all, we are finance people, so we are conservative and we have to be mindful about working with data and how some specific software exposes us to new risks. So there are 4 types of concerns regarding security. First is data privacy, meaning that if you upload some data to a public model, it gets exposed to everyone on the internet, which is not the case, but a lot of people think it is. There are also ethical concerns, meaning that if you let a program make decisions, this program can be biased and can drop ethical considerations from decision-making process, right? Another concern is cybersecurity, meaning that if you use this AI in your processes or embedded in your processes, your systems become more open for cyber attacks. And last but not least is hallucinations. I think this is pretty famous thing in AI, meaning that sometimes the model gives you like straightforward fake answers, right? So sometimes it gives you the information that doesn't exist. And it's still happening. It's getting better with time, but it is still happening. So I have 4 bullets of best practices that I am following myself. And I think it is like enough for everyone else to follow. First, avoid inputting sensitive or confidential information into AI. And this has shades and different levels of confidentiality. But as the rule of thumb, I don't input anything that can be like personal identification information, social security numbers, addresses, names, first names, last names, stuff like that. I do think that it is okay to upload financial reports if your company allows you to do that, and if you have switched on all the confidentiality settings in the AI. Always have humans double check AI output. I do it always, even if I use it for like very advanced tasks, I still do like double checking on some lines. AI is seldom run in like straightforward calculations, but if you give it a task that is like complex enough, it can be just run. Maybe it can be not run. It can be not what you want it to be. Let's put it like that. Be mindful of biases and check and update models and software. That's it. Okay. Now I will switch to showing you actually how these models look like and what we have in there. There are several ways to interact with public LLMs. It's not just putting the text and using the prompt to get the text, like to create an email or to create a simple document. There are a lot more there, so I will switch to, yeah, okay, good. So I'm now using simultaneously Claude and ChatGPT. This is how Claude looks like. I'm starting with that because it is less famous than ChatGPT, but a couple of weeks ago, it was my favorite model. So this is how the window looks like. And because I wanted to show you also the advanced features, I'm uploading 5 quarters of Apple financial reports. And you can upload PDF files, Excel files, both into Claude and to ChatGPT. In Claude, you can also upload CSV. You can't upload Excel for some reason. And there are some data limits that allow you to upload like pretty big files, but ChatGPT has a bigger data limit than Claude. So you can upload it and just start a simple chat. Or in Claude, you can also use a thing called project. So I'll go ahead and no. So the project is like a place for you to put a lot of information and it stays there. So every time you have to work with something project related, you go back there and all this information is already there. So a good example of using a project would be to upload, let's say, 5 quarters of financial reports, and then you get the next quarter, so you don't have to upload all 6 of them. You upload just the new one and old ones are already there. Okay, so I've uploaded 5 quarters of Apple financial reports. And there is an amazing feature in Claude that I really like. So I want to show you how it looks like.
Hey, Anna, can you read what you're typing?
Yes, I am reading. Okay, so I'm asking Claude to create an interactive dashboard. This is one of my favorite features. I use it a lot in my fractional CFO work when I work with clients, but also it's a good way to like collaborate on something with a team. So I had 5 PDF statements. Now you can see how it runs the code. So let's give it some time. And here it is. So it condensed all the information in 5 quarters, and it creates a interactive dashboard. So I can move my cursor and it shows you the numbers. You can also switch between, okay, I have iPhone and services here, right? It shows you the main parameters. I'm not like super happy with this interactive dashboard, so I can ask I'm asking you to add a bar chart with revenue dynamics. Okay.
So Anna, was that just a standard P&L that you load, like just a basic
I
standard?
can show, I think I can show to you what it is, if it lets me, yes. No, just give me a second. So this is, just bring it to this screen. So this is how it looks like. This is a standard Apple Corporation report. Okay, it has P&L, it has balance statement,
Cash flow.
and I uploaded 5 of them for 5 quarters. Right, so
I'm
it
sorry,
uses
what was the command that you put in? Enable what you said?
interactive dashboards.
Yeah, okay.
So this is the new version of the dashboard, I hope. So it put the revenue. Okay, now I have the revenue. I have iPhone services. I have the bar chart with revenue dynamics. So you can really play with that. I'm just showing you how it looks like. You can also share this whole thing via a public link like that. And everyone will have access to that if you want to make it public. But if you are using a team subscription, you can share it just inside your team. So I really like it. Another thing that you could do, you could ask, for example, to create a consolidated 2023 report. So it will bring all the data together from like 4 quarters.
Hey, Anna, when you say that you can share that, you're talking about the interactive dashboard, so you can share.
Yes, so
Okay,
I can share this dashboard like that. So I'm saying publish and copy link. So now
not just a report, but the dashboard itself.
Yes, so the way Claude handled that, this thing on your right, it's called artifact. It can be a table, it can be an interactive dashboard, it can be a text, like a text document. And you can share each of them. And the way it looks like, so it created a link for me. So now I'm going here and I'm just passing this link.
Anna, and is this their free version, or do you have
I have a
paid
paid version, but yeah, so this is how it looks like if I share it. And I can restructure it in the way that I like. And then when I reshare it, it will all be updated. So it's like online, you publish it online and you can share this link with everyone and they can have access to that. And I think free version also has this, but free version in every software has data limits. And I work so much with it that sometimes I run out of data limits even in paid versions. Okay.
So
Well,
does
this is great. It's like having the dynamic dashboards.
Yes, and you can really structure it. So I did a very, very basic thing. I said just create an interactive dashboard. You can go into details. You can say, I want to compare revenue dynamics via, I don't know, product, by quarter, by profitability line, like whatever data you have, right? And also a good way to use that is when you are having like a team discussion on something, and you have a big bunch of data, so you can upload all this data to project, and then ask questions or ask Claude or ChatGPT to create you graphs based on this data. And it's really, really very fast. It's faster than using Excel and pivot tables. And you don't need to format this data. So it can be in Excel, it can be in PDF, it can be in, I don't know, as a picture. It eats all this data, and then you can work with that. So that's what I really like there. Okay, but let's move on.
Quick question. I know that Pilot has, you know, can enter with Microsoft products, Excel and all that, which is nice. But Pilot doesn't have this dashboard capability. Just
I
check.
don't think, no, honestly, I don't like Copilot, and I haven't heard anyone who likes it. But and I don't know why, but I don't use it because I don't have, like, I don't work with corporations, and it's mostly big companies who have like Microsoft Suite and Copilot, at least bigger companies that I'm working with. But okay.
Thank you.
Okay, so this was Claude, which is a less popular thing. And of course, you can do also other things, but this is like really what differentiates it. Now let's go to ChatGPT. In ChatGPT, if you have paid version, I'm not sure about the free version, but if you have a paid version, I have the $20 a month version with ChatGPT. Now, it is important not to just differentiate between Claude and ChatGPT, but also in ChatGPT, we have 5 different models, and all these models do different things. The basic model is ChatGPT for all. This is where you can upload files, you can connect your Google Drive to it, and like work with your files in your Google Drive. You can connect Microsoft OneDrive, and you can upload from computer just like I did with Claude. ChatGPT works with Excel, so you can upload an Excel file here. Let me maybe show you. Okay, I have data set. Yeah, so that was the file. It's a pretty big Excel file that has 5 years of sales data for a company, okay? And ChatGPT has a so-called data analyst way to work with that. So you can open it like that. I uploaded it to ChatGPT. Now I open the file, and you can do, I don't know, you can ask ChatGPT to clean it. You can ask ChatGPT to give you a graph. And you can also work with separately columns. So you can highlight the column or the row or several rows and give like prompts related to this column only. So it's like a combination of working with data file and with AI. And maybe let me close it now. And I want ChatGPT to build a So I'm now asking it to build me a graph with monthly revenue dynamics by product. And this file has daily revenue by market, by product. Okay. So this is what it gave to me. It was really very fast, and it has 2021 to 2024. So more than 3 years. And then I can use the interactive chart which doesn't make a lot of sense, but I can also like change colors here if I want. Not very helpful, but still. And then you can redo these graphs. So I can ask, create it not by product, but by market, for example. And then it rebuilds this graph. So again, this is a handy feature to be using when you are working with a team and you need to be quickly building simple visualizations. And it can do bar charts. You have to just prompt what you want. Okay. So this is ChatGPT for all. We also have ChatGPT for all with Canvas. And I'll start a new chart. Okay, so ChatGPT for all with Canvas, it was released maybe a week ago. So it's really new. And this is best for working with text. So I'm doing my newsletter. This is actually a most recent issue. And I'm going to upload it here like that. And then, okay. And then there is a way to like communicate with that. It should be somewhere here. Because it's new, it doesn't always work. Yeah, so this is like a combination of a text processor and AI. You can, for example, highlight a paragraph and ask ChatGPT to edit just this paragraph. Okay, give it some time, it will upload it. Because it's a big one, it's like 1,500 words. But so I can highlight it and I can ask to shorten just this paragraph, okay? And it rewrites it in real time. And I can also delete things, I can add things right inside ChatGPT, and no other software can do that. So that's really amazing if you are working with the documents a lot. And it has this feature on your right, which I haven't really tested yet really well, but you can use something like adjust the length and you can do shorter, and it will probably change the whole document to a shorter version or to a longer. And there is also a funny thing called reading level. So you can adjust the reading level to like middle school, and it will digest the document to a more like comprehensive format so that small kids understand it, or you can make it more advanced. And you can also add emojis, add final polish. So it's a really, really handy way to work with documents. And it was released like a week ago, so it's really, really new. But I love it. Another model in ChatGPT is ChatGPT 01. This is a reasoning model. It thinks before it gives you an answer. And the best way to, and you cannot upload files here, but you can ask it a really, really complex questions. Like if we're talking about finance, it would be something like, what is the best way to increase cash flow in a situation like that, for example? And you can describe the situation and then it will think and give you an answer. And it is a pretty reasonable way to like ideate. But we're like 30 minutes in. I'm probably going to switch back to the presentation, and I'll go really quickly because I kind of lost the time a little bit here. So if we want to talk about budgeting, I was trying to connect the dots between what AI can do and what budgeting challenges we normally have in our lives. So I've put 6 like topics where AI can help. And I'm putting basic and advanced way to use AI in a specific challenge, just because I want you to also understand what advanced capabilities you can do. For basic, you don't need anything except like ChatGPT paid subscription and normal software that you're using. So for example, one of the challenges that we'll have in budgeting is integrating a lot of data in different formats and standardize the formats. So a very easy way that I use a lot is not to like spend hours reformatting the documents that you get from somewhere, but just upload the document in the original format, give AI the desired format, and you will initially very, very quickly get the data in the format that you need. Sometimes you will have to help it like map maybe the lines, but in most of the cases, AI would do its work really well. So I'm, for example, doing that when I'm consolidating financial statements from different markets, and I have a balance sheet from Germany in German and in their specific format and in Euro. And I can initially upload the balance sheet and the desired format that I want it in. And AI will convert it, translate from Euro to dollars, and translate from German to English, all like in a couple of minutes. And I really use it a lot in my life every day. And a more advanced way would be to ask AI to like help you develop a Python script. So if you are in a situation when you have to regularly collect data in different formats, you can automate this process with AI and Python. But it makes sense, for example, if you acquire the company and they have their reporting standards. So before switching this new company to your ERP, you would want to use some AI to constantly convert their files into your format, right? And you won't have to spend a lot of time on that manually. In the forecast accuracy, which is one of the biggest concerns in budgeting process, you can use AI in a simple way to just ask it to analyze historic trends and suggest simple projections. For example, with that file that I just showed you with like 3 years of revenue, I asked ChatGPT to give me the trends and then to give me the 2025 forecast based on these trends. And the forecast was by market, by product, like in 2 dimensions. And what I got was not like 100% ready to be called a budget, but it was a good basis for discussion and a good starting point. In an advanced way to use AI, you would implement a machine learning model using AI for multi-factor analytics. And you can like connect AI to your Excel, and every time you update actual, it can recalculate the prediction. I did it with cash flow, for example. In scenario planning, you can also leverage AI to analyze historic data and current trends, and to ask it to generate like 3 levels of scenarios for the next year. Again, it will not be something that you can go ahead and use right away, but this is a good starting point. And you would need the starting point anyway to go forward with these scenario discussions. It's also very interesting to ask AI what assumptions it used when it provided you this scenario, because sometimes you kind of maybe forget about something and it gives you some insight that you might miss. So it's not replacing, it's enhancing the process.
Hey, and a quick question on the advanced.
Yeah.
So let's say in both basic and advanced, you have a basic, data file that you upload. In the second version, you would say, take the data, do whatever, and also build in market conditions, or do you have to give it the market conditions to assume? Like, how does that work?
So, like, if you do it just in, okay, like if you do any advanced thing, you would use API. So you would create, connect your maybe accounting system or Excel spreadsheet with AI, and it goes back and forth, gathering the data and giving you the data back. But even if you do it by just inputting the file, and then, like, for example, you are in a ice cream business and your sales depend on weather conditions, right? So you can plug in previous year weather and get the correlation between the weather and your sales, for example. And then you can update the weather just from the internet and ask ChatGPT to give you a prediction on your revenue for the next, I don't know, like month or a little bit more. Or you can say, we expect a hot summer. How would our sales look like? Or we expect cold summer. How would it look like? And it does some thinking similar to what you would probably doing. So if you would task head of sales with the same task, what do? They like use some formula at 5% or -3%. I don't know. So they have their experience and they apply this experience in some way, because this is forecasting, right? So did I answer? I'm not sure I
No,
answered.
you did. You did.
Okay, good. I'll move forward then. It's not that straightforward, but I played with just uploading the data and trying to find the connections. And in the limited scenarios that I did it worked. And I think on bigger amounts of data, it would for sure work. Because the better data you have and the more like years of data you have, the better the correlation model becomes. Okay, for the stakeholder communication, the basic way would be to use this automatic dashboard that I showed you, or to ask AI to create diagrams or share the artifacts with your team, which is easy. And I had teams where some people wanted the information in one format and other wanted in another format, and my team had to like do everything for everyone. Now using AI, so you have the same data set, but you ask it to provide it in several formats and just copy and paste it to whoever wants to see it. Another way, like a more advanced way, would be to, so you got your budget, right? But different stakeholders don't necessarily get the same version of the budget, or maybe the same granularity. So you would want to create a shorter presentation for the bank, or maybe you want to share just the optimistic version with the bank. And with your internal team, you want to also look at pessimistic scenario to prepare for some, bad market conditions. So it is very easy to create different versions of the same document with different inputs, okay? And it's not a very difficult thing to do. You can use projects in Claude and just prompt it differently.
Anna,
yeah.
One question, and I know at the beginning you said it's advice we always use. We always double check, right? It needs human checking at the end. With Copilot, right? Mm-hmm. What I have found is that at least I'm gonna say 4 out of 10 or 3 out of 10 times that I ask for something, mm-hmm. It's wrong, and I'm talking about very
simple stuff,
simple things. Yeah, like if I say, hey, bring the yearly sales, and it pulls a quarterly, right? And I'm like, it's wrong. I said the yearly, not the quarter. This is quarterly, and it brings a quarterly again. So I don't know if that's in general or GPT is better at that.
Well, I would like, my guess would be that ChatGPT has the wrong data sources, right? when you work with ChatGPT, you directly upload the data into ChatGPT, and Copilot searches for data in your internal, I don't know, folders, sources, right? So
Yes.
maybe it just goes to the wrong place, or maybe you have to direct it in the right direction. But when I work with ChatGPT, I don't ask it to like look for information in 100 folders. Okay, I just upload the information that I know it would need. And if I know that there is like 2 versions of the same information, I will make sure that when I'm asking questions, I clarify what document it needs to look into. Like, for example, I uploaded 5 quarters of financial statements. If I just ask, what was the revenue, right? It can give you any answer because you didn't clarify. If you ask what was the revenue in Q2 of 2023, it will look in the right file. So maybe you have to narrow down your sources of information.
maybe it's the universe, but when yes, because I'm talking about analysis done based on basically the entire internet, right? When you want to do something.
So if you
some
are
research about a certain company.
Okay, if you're looking outside, if you're searching the web, the best tool for that is Perplexity. Perplexity is a search engine, and you can ask questions like, which company was the market leader in some market in some decade or year? And Perplexity will give you the answer, but it always quotes the sources. So we can go to the sources and check. I can show it to you, actually. We're a little bit over time, but I think it's worth it. So, for example, so I'm asking, what was the market leader in shoe sales in the US? Which is a weird question, but it says Nike is the clear market leader, and I can look where it took this information. And you can go to the source of this information and verify if it's a reliable source or not. So for anything market related or like external search related, I suggest to use Perplexity, and you don't need to install it, and it's free. I'm using free version. It's more than enough. And you can also narrow your search somewhere. I don't remember where. So it gave me the table, right? So it gave me a pretty good answer. And this is a different way to search compared to Google. In Google, you would look for market report and then look for this data in the market report, right? Google will not give you the answer like that. Now it has some AI on top of what it's doing. So there are like chances that you will get something like that, but not too high. Okay. So you have a table.
Thank you, Anna. Yeah, very, very good.
Okay. So let's go back to the use cases. I'm close to the end. Okay. So for real-time adjustment, I think we talked about it. For cross-functional collaboration, one of the examples, and I saw it in real life, the company had a very complicated glossary of terms, and every time a new person was coming, they had to like give them literally a book with the processes and with all the abbreviations they were using. You can use a simple like knowledge base where everybody will be able to go and ask a simple question in natural language and get the answer. Like quote something from the presentation and ask to explain what the abbreviations mean in this company language. Like in the company that I was working, SC was supply chain, which is not the case in many other companies, for example, right? So using it as a database and as a source of truth is a good way to do that. And you don't share any confidential information. It just makes it the knowledge exchange easier for the team. And in an advanced way, and this is like hypothetical, but I know that can be done. You can implement an AI-powered budget impact analyzer where the department will go and say, what happens if my department increases sales by 20%, and we'll see the impact on everyone else. Like, should a company do that? I don't know, but that's possible with AI. This is one of the use cases that's possible. So last but not least, how do you get started? And that's important because I've seen a lot of mistakes and like dead ends that companies do. So the wrong way to do that is to watch a webinar, say wow, and go back to your daily tasks. I come back to the companies a month after I've shown them everything that can be done. Nobody is using anything, nothing is happening. So the company needs to assess the process, give your employees a tool and a policy, and explain to them what they can do and what they can't do. Because when you don't do that, people use their personal accounts and personal laptops to work with company information. And this is happening for sure. I know it is happening. And companies don't have control over that. And God only knows what information gets fed to the AI models, right? So the good way to do that would be to choose a tool. I would vote for ChatGPT if there is nothing else affecting this decision, and identify a small task that can be easily automated with AI. For example, like a simple report preparation, maybe reformatting the reports, something that your team does frequently, and maybe something that people hate, because there is always a pushback from people who are afraid to lose their jobs. That's also true, that's happening. So start with small tasks and then experiment and add new tasks. When you get your team buy-in, and also they understand how this AI thing works, because it doesn't work the same way as rule-based automation, right? You get different answer to the same question. That's very different, right? You have the same data and you ask the same question and you get different answers. And it works very well when you identify a AI like leader in the team who drives the team and who experiments and shares the results of this experimentation. And what else? Yeah, it is very challenging to stay informed. This is why I launched this newspaper, because I'm spending like 5 hours a week at least to keep up with everything that's going on. And it's difficult to keep track of all the changes on the market, and not just keep track, but also to constantly think how it applies to what I'm doing. Okay. Yeah, a little bit of maybe some advertising, very short. I'm launching a product, a 4-hour workshop where I come to the companies and I work with them to explain what AI is, and do it in a very tailored format, very, very much tailored to their business processes and needs. And we get together with a team. At the end of this workshop, we identify several best use cases for AI implementation. And then the company leadership decides which one they want to go with. And if they wish, we go forward and implement this automation. So this is the way what I learned, that this works much better than just to show and, disappear. It doesn't change anything in the company this way. And yeah, that's it. if you want to subscribe to my newsletter, you can scan the QR code. I hope it works. Or I can send you the link probably somewhere. And I'm open to your questions. I think we have like 10 minutes, so go ahead.
Well, Anna, great job. It's funny, I was chatting with somebody else who's, lots of AI things going on, but we even had one that this is a different spin on it and a much better, more practical. The other gentleman was more theoretical, but both of value. Yeah, just everything. It's interesting. Oh, and the one point he made, which is kind of scary, and I don't know if some of you guys were here for that or not, but he was an older gentleman like myself, and he said that he felt and he'd heard that AI is just scratching the surface, that it's kind of like PCs back when I started using PCs, like you had the 2 floppy drives that went around and around. So we're just at the bare minimum of what this stuff can do, and it's amazing. So thank you very much for your time and effort.
Thank you. I can say that the finance function is at the end of this wave, and there are reasons why it is like that. But marketing departments, sales departments, HR have much more of AI already implemented in a lot of systems, and sometimes they don't even understand that, right? So finance is like at the end, maybe not the very end, but when I started to dig into that 6 months ago, it felt like nobody in finance was even aware that, this is possible and this is happening. Now, if you talk to your software providers, some of them are starting to implement AI this way or another. QuickBooks is trying to do something. I think Sage has a lot of, at least, efforts in this direction. So maybe talk to your software providers what they have. But Copilot is a bad example. I don't know, maybe it's implemented poorly or what, but I talk to a lot of people in companies, and a lot of them are disappointed. So don't think that this is all AI there is. Okay. That's my point here. Don't get disappointed by Copilot and just think that the whole AI is wrong.
And I have a question.
Sure.
Before you were uploading spreadsheets into ChatGPT, and if you want to do the advanced forecasting, more predictive stuff, sometimes you need additional information like competitive information, macroeconomic, maybe some microeconomic. It's all out there on the internet. So can you upload your financial statements and then say, get me all the macroeconomic data, get me the competitive information, because it's all out there in the internet. So can it search for you?
Yeah, it will. Now ChatGPT can search for you, but be careful. I say it also with Perplexity. So there is a lot of information on the internet, and sometimes it picks the source that is not reliable, right? So you can ask, like, what was Apple revenue in, somewhere, and it will use not Apple Inc., but something else. So just imagine if you were this assistant doing the search and you didn't know anything about internet. There is a lot of information, and when you ask AI to Google for you, it can get into the wrong sources, right?
Okay.
But
can you adjust the prompt to reference a certain site?
You can try that, yes. You can try that. I don't do that a lot, and when I am searching, I am mostly using Perplexity, and Perplexity has a feature that can narrow the sources. So you can ask it to just look at the academic sources, for example. But when I did it with my travel search. So I asked Perplexity to look for, let's say, best tickets from X to Z for the dates, right? It went the easy way. It took like the aggregators information. So it will search, it will not be able to verify the source and to like choose the best source for what you're doing. So be careful, but it's possible.
Thank you.
Excellent. Anybody else got anything?
Yeah, I've got a quick question. You mentioned that one of the best practices, of course, is, be careful. Don't upload sensitive or confidential
Yes.
information. How long, what kind of work to really make this work for your client or for your company? You're not going to be able to do that. What's the workaround, or
Yes.
what's upcoming that will help resolve that, where you can put stuff in there and not worry about the public having access to it?
So if you have a enterprise subscription to ChatGPT, and it's called team subscription, if you read the user agreement, it will say that it is not sharing your information with the internet. If you have just a private paid subscription, I will show it to you. So you have to go to, I think, settings. Yes, and in the settings, in data controls, you have to switch off improve the model for everyone. And this way, it doesn't use your information to train its data. I still don't think of it as sending emails. Sending emails is more or less safe, but you will not send an email with a list of social security numbers. At least I wouldn't, right?
I mean, Jeff, couldn't you just redact the name? I mean, if, because.
Yes, there are services
just
that
take the name
do,
of the
yes.
company off or whatever, just delete
There
it.
are services that do anonymization of data, and they were designed for clinical trials so that you could anonymize personal information, but still keep all the rest of information, so you can run your data set through this service and then back when you're done with analysis. But I don't do, I don't work with this level of confidential data. So when I just need to upload a financial report of a company that is not publicly traded, I just leave the name outside. So I just remove the name, and this is how it works. You can rename something to something else if it works better for you, but I worked with, let's say, what was the use case? The bank statements. So there was a company who asked to analyze bank statements, and they were not, the report was not great. So I just removed the name of the company and the bank and just analyzed the statements without the name. And then you can add it to the final document.